Hey guys, it's Deborah. So I'm not even sure how I'm going to start all this. I just feel so excited, and also it's just a lot that I want to share with you guys. Important stuff. Let me just get into it. This is about Revelation 12, and then it's about a lot more. I asked God, where are we in Revelation 12? I asked him, where are we in this chapter? This chapter is like a synopsis of the whole tribulation. So the book of Revelation is like the long version of all the things that are going to happen, and then Revelation 12 is like a summary. I asked him, where are we in this Revelation 12? So let's just read the beginning. And there appeared a great wonder in heaven, a woman clothed with the sun and the moon under her feet, and upon her head a crown of 12 stars. And she, being with child, cried, travailing in birth and pain to be delivered. And so let me pause there. So let's just say verse 1 and 2. What do you have there? You have obviously the Revelation 12 sign. Now, we all know September 23rd, 2017, how that was discovered in the sky and all that stuff. Okay, so one, I do believe that was the sign. That was that first sign. So you have that. That's passed. Check box. Let's move down. So, and what do we have here? She's with child. She's crying to give birth. She's just pregnant. She has not given birth. Verse 3. And there appeared another wonder in heaven, another wonder. So you have to really remember, there's another. It's a sign. The first one was a sign. It was a wonder. It didn't happen physically. Another wonder in heaven. And behold, a great red dragon having 7 heads and 10 horns and 7 crowns upon his head. And his tail drew a third part of the stars of heaven and did cast them to the earth. And the dragon stood before the woman, which was ready to be delivered for to devour her child as soon as it was born. Boom, let's stop there. I'm going to actually make this one this color. So let's verse 3 and 4. That's happened, guys. That has happened. Check mark. Do you guys think though that's like demons falling to the earth? I will show you that no, it's a wonder in heaven, and I'll explain. But we are there. That's past. So first one, check mark. Second wonder, check mark. Let's move down to verse 5. And she brought forth a man-child who was to rule all nations with a rod of iron, and her child was caught up to God and to his throne. That's the rapture. Verse 5 has not happened. This is where we are. We're at the bottom of verse 4. That has happened. So at least I know where we are. Are we up here like at verse 1 and 2? Oh, that's happened. Well, when's the No, we are at 5, the pink. This is next on the agenda, and I will give you much more to explain why I know this and the signs have been given, and also what does that mean practically. But let me read a little bit more and then we'll move on. Okay, so we got 5 is the rapture. 6, and the woman fled into the wilderness where she had a place prepared of God that they should feed her 1,260 days. Obviously that's Israel. And then let me keep going. And there was a war in heaven. Michael, this is important. Michael and his angels fought against the dragon, and the dragon fought and his angels, and prevailed not, neither was their place found any more in heaven. And the great dragon was cast out, that old serpent called the devil and Satan, which deceiveth the whole world. He was cast out onto the earth, and his angels cast out with him. All right, guys. So what do you have here? He was cast out here. So after the woman flees, then you have a war. Sorry, let me just take this off. First, verse 6, the woman flees, and then a war happens. So up here, when it says, verse 4, and his tail drew a third part of the stars and did cast them to the earth. That happens before this. There's 2 separate casting to the earth. They're 2 separate. Okay, you have this one, stars get cast to the earth, and then you have this one down here, where he's cast to the earth. They're separate. See? Separate. This already happened. Sorry. Verse 4 already happened. Verse 9 has not happened. And I'll show you why verse 4 already happened, but it's a wonder. It's not the thing. I mean, this is what I believe, because I prayed and I asked. I can only tell you what I got. Okay. All right, let's go to verse 10. And I heard a loud voice saying in heaven, now is come salvation and strength in the kingdom of our God and power of his Christ, for the accuser of our brethren is cast down, which accuseth them before our God day and night. And they overcame him by the blood of the Lamb and the word of their testimony. So well, okay, so this is into the tribulation. I don't know if I have to read. Yeah, I'll just keep reading. And they overcame him by the blood of the Lamb and word of their testimony, and they loved not their lives unto death. This is obviously getting deeper into the tribulation. Therefore, rejoice, ye heavens, them that dwell on them. Woe to the inhabitants of the earth and the sea, for the devil is come down to you, having a great wrath, because he knoweth that he had but a short time. When the dragon saw that he was cast to the earth, he persecuted the woman which brought forth the child. So now this is when it's like halfway through the tribulation, because eventually she's going to be in the wilderness. And the woman were given 2 wings of a great eagle, and she might fly to the wilderness, in the place where she is nourished for a time and half a time from the face of the serpent, and the serpent cast out of his mouth water as a flood after the woman. Sorry, I'm reading fast because you guys know this, that he might cause her to be carried away by a flood. And the earth helped the woman, and the earth opened its mouth and swallowed up the flood, which the dragon cast out of his mouth. And the dragon was wroth with the woman and went to make war with the remnant of her seed. That would be the Christians in the end of the tribulation who are left, obviously, which keep the commandments of God and have the testimony of Jesus Christ. So the woman is obviously Israel. Now, what I'm trying to say here is the main point is I know where we are. We're at the end of verse 4. At least we're there. So we know 5 has to be next. Now you guys might be saying, well, we already know that. Yeah, we know about we're about to be raptured. But I will show you what God showed me several years ago that now all makes sense about verse 4, why that's already happened right here. Why this has already happened. I believe. And that's different than this, where they're cast out. There has to be this fight first. So it's all on its way. It's all very close. And then I will explain what happened, why I think we're past verse 4. So why are you seeing this movie in front of you, Jupiter ascending? It's going to make all the sense. So the great conjunction of 2020. The great conjunction of 2020 was Jupiter and Saturn conjoining. I am the least person who is really interested in stellarium and the skies and the stars and the stuff like that. Not that I shouldn't use the word not interested. I should say I don't have an aptitude for it. It's not like something where I run to it. But at that time, December 2020, the great conjunction, that's what they named it, the great conjunction. God had me all up in that. I was wondering why God had me really, really interested in it. I've never been since interested in much conjunctions or anything like that, or prior. So anyway, this movie. So let me tell you a story. I know a lot of you guys probably already know this, and actually a sister in Christ who is a subscriber, the one who actually pointed this out to me. There's 2 of them actually who pointed it out to me way back when, and this all came together now. It's starting to come together now. So anyway, my first video that on this part 1 was about Revelation 12 and why I believe the first wonder in heaven happened in 2017, and the second wonder, another wonder, there was a dragon. It didn't actually physically, it was a wonder. It was in heaven and stars were cast down. Let me explain this movie and why you're seeing this thing. So in 2020, the Great Conjunction, God had me really, really interested in it and just exploring it. I made all these videos. It was just a huge thing. And he showed me, I kept saying to people in videos, guys, I think this might be the second wonder. I kept saying that. Why would I say that? Look it up. A dragon went in the sky. A dragon went in the sky at the time of the conjunction, December 2020. And stars fell. Look it up. This happened at the time of the conjunction. And I kept telling people, doesn't this look like the second wonder? But, we just moved past it, whatever. So here we go. This is why you're seeing this movie trailer. And I'm going to support why I believe the second wonder has happened and we're at the rapture. We're at verse 5. And then I'll go into next the practical. What happened was I was talking about this conjunction. I was going on and on about it, making videos. And a sister came in the comments and she said this randomly. She's like, you sound like Mila Kunis. Now, I was not talking about this movie. I had never heard of this movie. I had never seen this movie. Just picture it. I'm talking about the conjunction, nothing to do with this movie. And I hear in the comments one line, you sound like Mila Kunis. And I was like, oh, that's random. It's just like the Lord just really pointed it out to me. I just felt like the Lord said, look at this. So she said that. And then I, same day, get a message on Facebook from a totally different subscriber, totally different, and says this: hey, have you ever watched that movie Jupiter Ascending? I just saw it with my daughter. I think she said she just saw it with her daughter that day, same day, back in 2020. She said it's called Jupiter Ascending. And she said it seems to completely tell the story of us as Christians and the rapture. And so here you have me talking about the Jupiter-Saturn conjunction, and someone in the comments very randomly saying you sound like Mila Kunis, and then someone totally separate on Facebook says to me, hey, have you ever seen the movie Jupiter Ascending? It's all about the planet Jupiter. She sent me that because she said, because I'm talking about Jupiter so much, not because somebody said I sound like Mila Kunis. So I knew God was like, you've got to look at this. So then I see this movie. I didn't watch the movie, but I see like the trailer and I looked into it. This movie is about, okay, so Mila Kunis, I think her name is Jupiter in the movie. And anyway, she is a cleaning woman on Earth. So she's like a nobody like us. She's like a big nobody doing an annoying job, having a horrible life, just a cleaning person. And then all of a sudden, I don't know the details, I'm sorry, but she eventually gets caught up to space somehow by aliens or bad people. They take a needle. This is back in 2020, but this is before all the stuff. So then this movie is about her getting caught up in the sky, and then they try to put a big needle in her to kill her because they know she's special. Then this guy, Channing Tatum, oh gosh, I can't ever say his name right. Channing Tatum. He then whisks her away in another like type of raptor. She's caught up in the sky anyway. I don't remember how she gets there, but it's like a raptor. He takes her and he rescues her so he rescues her so she doesn't get like needled up and killed. And he says, you're actually like a princess or a queen or a ruler of another planet, you're a ruler. And so I don't know how the rest goes, but basically she ends up coming into her own, I guess, and she's no longer like whatever. Anyway, you got all the pieces of the puzzle there. So the reason I'm bringing all this up is because I believe that was absolute confirmation back in 2020 of God in his roundabout way showing me the conjunction was the second wonder in 2020. So I'm not saying, it can't be something else. I don't know. I'm saying I think this is true. So I was seeking him about more understanding about Revelation 12 and how he confirmed to me even more so that I'm on the right track. But these are puzzle pieces that are old that I've left behind. That I've not thought about, but I knew I wasn't supposed to get rid of them. So a lot of you guys know this story, but come on guys, literally when I'm exploring this conjunction, the great conjunction, there's a dragon in the sky at the same time and stars falling down. And he confirms it with this movie. This movie literally depicts everything before it happened. So anyway, sorry, I'm getting excited. All I'm saying is there's a lot. So this is one confirmation. I'll go to number 2 confirmation. Yeah, I'm going to be done now and I'll go to part 3. Why am I showing you this video? Because this woman is talking about a story of a 12-year-old boy who was rescued in Turkey. It was it says 182 hours after the earthquake. That's a very long time. I don't know, it was like 11 days or I have no idea. A long time to survive. So they rescued him. It's key. He was 12. He was a 12-year-old boy. And that immediately made me think, I was researching Revelation 12. Man-child, a 12-year-old man-child. The other thing about 12 is, in the Jewish culture, you're still a child. It's like innocence. 13 is when they become a man. And the reason why I also wanted to point out this story is there's a miracle attached to it. And I'll just play the video for a second. And let me just play, not the whole video, just a couple minutes of the miracle. So he was under the rubble, no food, no water. How can you go with no water for 182 hours? I wish I knew what that was. I think that's guys, I don't know. I thought it said 11 days. Anyway, let me play the video and then I'll come back.
Okay, I'm going to go somewhere else, y'all. Okay, it gets me every time I see that, y'all. Okay, so this is what I want to share with you. This is from our sister, Jenna Hill, and she's a nurse, y'all. And she says, Sherry, you must hear this. My co-worker's fiance lives in Turkey, and he went to help for a few days where the earthquakes were. I'm sorry, y'all. I'm having a hard time with my glasses and seeing. He said some children were rescued from underneath the rubble, and they were asked if they were hungry and thirsty. And they said no. She says someone dressed all in white came and gave them food and water while they were trapped. Unbelievable, huh, you guys? I mean to tell you, I know Jenna, and I know what she's saying is the absolute truth. And all praise be to Father God. That's how unbelievably wonderful our Lord is, y'all. I mean, like I've said many times, he knows all things. He knew that these people were going to try to get everybody out. So he kept those babies for 7 days with food and water. There's just no words how wonderful our Lord is. Thank you, Sister Jenna, for writing this out. What a blessing.
So, yeah. These boys, they said, or this boy, I don't know if there's several boys, said a man all in white was keeping them alive under there with water and food. So that was another confirmation to me that this is symbolic again of Revelation 12. He was 12, man child, yanked out, harpazoed, rescued. It was like I don't know, I just felt like it was another confirmation that I was on the right track. That I was on the right track when I was researching Revelation 12 and I realized what happened at the Great Conjunction, that a dragon went up and stars came down, which then leads me to know that next is harpazo, and this is another confirmation that I was on the right track because it pointed to Revelation 12. I haven't really been talking about Revelation 12 a lot, but it pointed to Revelation 12, which is a man-child who is 12 being rescued. That's what this is. So that was just my second confirmation. I'm going to have all these pieces. Let me move on to the next thing. More confirmations and more now related to actual timelines of where we are right now. So this is just related to more confirmations. I recorded the first part on a different day and I'm coming back now to finish up the video. So this clip that you see in front of you is from a video from a channel called Jesus Saves. And I happen to have this come into my feed somehow. And basically when I watched the video, there's a couple videos actually. I had a couple videos from that channel that I put pieces together with, but this young woman, she basically is very, very good at mathematics, and she's also very good at studying like stellarium and stuff like that, and she feels like that she found some discoveries. So she started talking about Revelation 12, and also she started talking about the foolish and the wise virgins and some other things, and I'll explain. So basically, when I don't know how soon into the video, but she kind of started talking about Revelation 12 when I was watching, and just kind of confirming, and I won't get into all the details, but the things that I was like talking, all the things previously I was just talking about. So I really did feel like it was just more confirmations that I was on the right track. And I understood that I felt like God was showing me that, the beginning of Revelation 12 has happened, and here we are waiting for this exact harpazo moment. And she was kind of talking about that, kind of talking about the stars and just the sign that happened back in 2017 and matching them up with different things that happen now. But then she kind of moved on to discussing the foolish and the wise virgins and how these constellations combined with that. So this is just, it's a little different, but I feel like it just all flowed in together, and I just wanted to share it all. So two of the biggest signs and Bible passages that have encouraged people, for Christians for thousands of years, have been Revelation 12 and also the foolish and wise virgin parable. These kind of things for at least hundreds of years have inspired Christians and have encouraged them about the rapture. I mean, these are very encouraging, powerful passages. So both Revelation 12, where you see a man-child being caught up to heaven, and also the foolish and the wise virgins, both of those have been very, very encouraging and very inspiring. I feel like there's been a bit of an attack on these kind of passages and these scriptures in the last while, and I just want to bring it back to the encouragement, the blessed hope that they are. Just like the letters to the churches to Philadelphia, another blessed hope. Just like what Paul said is a blessed hope. All of these things give a lot of encouragement, and I don't want to see that go away. I just want to see people be encouraged by them, and I think that's what God was showing me through this, that these chapters and verses are very, very important, and they're very good for edifying and encouragement. And I know different people have different views of these encouraging chapters, but I believe the traditional view on them, I believe our forefathers of the faith were not led astray. I just think they were given some information, and now in the later days we are being shown more to elaborate on them, but we don't take away from what they said. We add to it. That's just like Paul. I'm sidetracking here a little bit. Just say this, that Paul talked about, being caught up in the twinkling of an eye in a moment. And then John elaborated on that. He didn't take away from what Paul said at all. He added to it. So anyway, that's all I want to say about that. I just think these are very encouraging things. So she was talking about Revelation 12, and then she started talking about the foolish and the wise virgin parable. And I have a strong connection to that parable in many, many ways. But one thing is, the trailer on my channel is about the Galilean wedding, which she started bringing up. This young woman on Jesus Saves started bringing up about the Galilean wedding and the connections and what she was seeing in Stellarium and all these different things. So it really perked me up, because this is like my trailer on my channel, which is a video talking about the correlation and the connection between the Galilean wedding and Jesus coming for those who are praying they're counted worthy, which is the wise virgins. So in that, I was wondering, what was she seeing in Stellarium? So what she said she saw was, on a very specific day, she believes the bridegroom call went out. It's kind of similar to how I felt like when I was looking at that conjunction in 2020. I believe it answered that portion of that scripture that it actually happened. But again, it would be in like a sign in the heavens. So I will tell you what she thought she sees the bridegroom call, and that's from the foolish and wise virgin parable. So what she was saying was, on February 15th, and you could say February 14th/15th, because it depends on the time zone you're in. Basically, she believes the bridegroom call went out in the form of a celestial sign. Unfortunately, in this video, I cannot go into that because I don't even fully understand it. And also, I'm just not really, I don't have like a huge aptitude for like the stars and all that stuff, but she's like super mathematical. So the channel is called Jesus Saves. I can't say I know a ton about her or her content, but I know enough that I did like what I saw. And so what I just want to say is, on that date, this just last February 14, 15, she believes that was the time of the bridegroom's call to wake everybody up. Like all the virgins were asleep, and then he calls and they all wake up. And so anyway, that to be said is, she said that, so that date, February 14th, 15th is very important, because on that date, I made a video about something being signed. So it's Valentine's Day, the day of love. Look at this picture, the hearts. It was a day of love, a day of wedding. And then that day, there was, it's really late for me now. I'm like filming the second part at a very late hour. Anyway, so that date, in NATO signed something, and some things happened with NATO and the government. That was the time period when basically they decided that Putin's not going to retreat and they have to go full on. So a lot of things happen on that day, but there was also something else that happened that relates to a friend of mine and a dream that she had. So my good friend Robin from the channel Robin Fig Tree Generation, she had a dream, and I posted it on my channel. I talked about it around that time, 3 years ago, that on Valentine's Day, she had a dream of a woman in like a pink coat, and she just had an understanding when she woke up of this dream. And the woman signified that she was going on like a date, a love date, something about love for Valentine's Day. And Robin just knew it was about Valentine's Day. And in this dream, on the back of the woman's coat were Chinese letters. And she knew what it was saying was on the back of an event with China, there will be the rapture. And she knew it signified Valentine's Day. So it's not like she said, oh, the rapture is going to happen on Valentine's Day. She just knew all these pieces were there. And the woman ended up driving away in like a red convertible. So there was a lot of pieces there. Just driving away felt like the rapture. Like, and red signifies like the blood of Jesus. It signifies Valentine's Day and love. And she knew that this was about a love, wedding, rapture, escape around Valentine's Day, or something to do with Valentine's Day on the back of something with China. So the reason I bring this up is because this girl, again, I told you from Jesus Saves, was saying that she believes that's when the bridegroom's call went out this last February, Valentine's Day, or the 15th, I think she said, but the 14th, 15th kind of overlaps, like I said, timeline where you are and stuff. So basically what I'm saying is I felt like this really was like a confirmation about the time that we're in. And when I was saying about Revelation 12, I was asking God, where are we in Revelation 12? And I feel like he checked off certain boxes to say, you know, this sign has happened. The second wonder has happened. Here you are waiting for the man-child to be caught up. I showed you many different things about the man-child and relation to the 12-year-old boy. And it was just all these things connecting together within a few days after I asked a question. I went to the Lord asking him about Revelation 12, about the wise and foolish virgins. I had questions about these verses and who they were and where we are and what it means. Even though I knew for a long time, I just felt like there was a lot of different discussions about who people thought they were and what it was all about. And I felt like I had to go to God about it. When I did, I just got confirmation after confirmation after confirmation. And so let me move on from there. So another confirmation through Jesus Saves channel was here. I just took a screenshot of her talking about white blossoms. She said, and this brings you back to time period. So when I started this video, I said, I'm going to just show you general idea of what I believe God showed me about the first and second wonder in Revelation 12 and where we are in Revelation 12, but not specifically a date or something. But then I said, I'm going to like hone it down as we talk about some more things that I feel God showed me. And now I'm talking about actual time periods. So she was talking about white blossoms, and she was very adamantly saying that she believes there's a connection between spring and she heard another video, someone else's video, talking about God telling them about there being white blossoms and the time of the rapture and stuff like that, which coincide with what she was hearing about the bridegroom's call being in February, and that the call comes out obviously before the virgins go out to meet him. So I'm not giving you a time exact stamp or anything like that. What I'm trying to say is if this is correct, then, you know, we're really in the season. So when she mentioned white blossoms being a sign, I wanted to show you guys something. So maybe like a month or so ago, a couple months ago, I shared with you guys a storybook that it was just a cute little story, but it's something that I've had since I was a child. When I was a child, my mom bought me a book kind of because of my name. It was called Debbie's Dream. Obviously, my name's Deborah, short form Debbie. She gave me this book when I was a little kid. She used to love like getting stuff with my name on it. And in this book, it tells a story. Well, I'll just briefly tell you the story super quick, but I've kept this book all these years, all my life, because it's like an heirloom now because it's so, you know, old. And so anyway, so the story is basically that there is a little girl. She gets a cold. When she gets the cold, she gets laid up in bed. Her name is Debbie. She then has a dream. You know, sometimes if you're sick or whatever, you dream more. Anyway, she has this dream and she sees herself with the Winter King. And it is like a snowman, but he's a king. And she sees she's in a palace of silver. Everything's sparkling and twinkling and glittering, and she's in this amazing kingdom. And when she wakes up, she says, I never wanted to come back. Like, I want to be there forever. I don't want to be here like on earth or whatever. It's very strange. I've never thought about this story until I reread it just like a couple months ago. And so she said she wanted to be there. And it's almost like, you know, when Christians have dreams of heaven and stuff like that, then all of a sudden they're like, they don't want to come back. Anyway, I just thought it was a sweet story. I didn't know it ever come back to me in any way. So then she said that she wanted to just be in this place. And then months passed, and she said she wasn't interested in television. She wasn't interested in playing with her friends. All she could think about was the land of the Winter King. And then one day her mom said, you know, I want to make you happy again. And I have a letter from your Aunt Betty. And Betty symbolizes the name Elizabeth. Betty Elizabeth, and there was something connected with that, which I forget now, but there was a lot of connections in the story. Anyway, she gets this letter from Aunt Betty, and Aunt Betty basically says, I have trees of silver. Well, maybe you'll feel better because even though you can't go back to that palace, you can come and see my home and the trees of silver, and it'll make you happy. So then she started getting so excited to go, but she knew she couldn't go till the spring. So every day she would just think about going back there, going back there. It just reminds me of us, like when we're like, we have an experience with God, we're like, I want to be with you. Anyway, so she then basically thinks about till she finally gets there. And when she does, she gets to Aunt Betty's house. Finally, spring comes along, and it's not trees of ice like in her dream, but it's actually blossoms. It's actually like white blossoms. And you can see it in the story here. It actually uses the word white blossom. So the reason why I'm even bringing this up was because it just felt too much of a coincidence, not a coincidence, that I'm watching this young woman's video that I've never seen before. And she's talking about Revelation 12. She's talking about the wise and foolish virgins, all these things that I've been asking God. I have been seeking God recently on this because people have some different views, and I'm not here to argue. I had to seek God on what was the truth. And then so he was like, talking to me about it anyway. And then when she talks about all this, we're talking about the rapture, the bridegroom call, and here she's talking about these white blossoms being a sign because it's spring. And I had just read this book, and it was talking about, you know, going to like a heavenly place and wanting to go back, and then she finally made it back there in the spring with white blossoms. So I know that's just a little thing, but I felt like it was significant. And if you guys saw me read that story, you would see like now this girl is talking about white blossoms. So anyway, that was a small connection. There's one other connection with this book, is that when the little girl was waiting to go and was like sad, like just longing to be back in this special, amazing kingdom, she was encouraged by a robin. And I just found that funny because I said my friend's name is Robin, and Robin Fake True Generation is her channel. And I was talking about that Valentine's Day dream, and a robin encouraged her until the time came. And I was talking about Robin's dream being an encouragement. So these are all just little things, and they connect in little pieces, but I just look at them as confirmations to the first part of the journey I was on. But let me sum it all up now for you. So just to recap everything, I was praying, I was asking God about Revelation 12. Where are we in that chapter? Like, where are we? And I was asking him also about the foolish and the wise virgins, just questions about that. Who do they represent? When do they leave? All these kind of things. And in that time period, I got a lot of confirmations and just remembrances of things that have come to me in the past. So for one, like I said, when I went through Revelation 12, God reminded me that I had gone through that whole thing in December 2020 with the Great Conjunction. Remember, it's not just a conjunction, it was called the Great Conjunction, and everything that was happening during that time period, and that I believe it may have very well fulfilled the second wonder, which then brings us at least the fact that we literally, that those two things have passed, which would mean we would be at the man-child being caught up. And so he, just encouraged me with that. And then he reminded me, like, again, of just that movie, Jupiter Ascending, and how that related to the conjunction, and that it was the storyline. Literally, the movie is a storyline of somebody being taken out with a needle, being caught up to the skies in heaven, and basically being like royalty and all this stuff. So like the whole thing, and it was about Jupiter. So the whole thing was just a lot there, and tying into the girl saying, you sound like Mila Kunis, and just all of that stuff. So he reminded me of all of that, and just kind of confirmed, I believe, that we're at that right place for the man-child to be caught up. And then I see this video of that young woman Jesus saves, and she's talking about Revelation 12, which caught my attention, which kind of brought me into figuring out what she was saying. She has so much stuff about celestial things. And then she started talking about the foolish and wise virgins. And that was my second question. And she starts talking about how she believes the bridegroom call went out on Valentine's Day, pretty much. And then on Valentine's Day is when I had so many confirmations, so much big news with regards to what was happening with NATO and everything. And then on top of it, my friend's dream from 3 years ago, which is a long time ago, all about Valentine's Day and something on the back of China. And we know there was all those balloons that just went off, and so much has happened with China, and that it relates to love, wedding, foolish and wise virgins, the rapture, the red car, the red convertible, and just all that. So that tied into that. And also, I forgot to mention again, to just recap this, that when I was really still questioning about Revelation 12 and everything, that's when I hear the story. It was either the same day or the day before, or the day after, sorry. I hear the story. It might have been the day before I saw that Jesus Saves video, but I see the story about the little boy and how he's 12, like Revelation 12. He's a man child. He is plucked out, just like in the actual chapter. He's harpazoed, out of danger, and it says that he was kept alive with food and water by somebody dressed in white, a man dressed in white. So I feel like there was just so many things. There was a lot of things that, to some people would just be like, oh, that's nothing. But, you know how it is. They're like confirmations. Anyway, it's just one thing bringing me to the next. So I had like all that stuff with Revelation 12 and the stuff with the foolish and wise virgins, all very encouraging things. And then just the little things with the storybook I've had since I was a little child, talking about, it was almost like a rapturous story. It was just so, I've never looked at it like that till I read it again with this mindset. Anyway, and then it's all about, at the end, she's in this land that's full of white blossoms. And then this girl on the same video, this young woman, Jesus Saves, she talks about these white blossoms and that signifying the time of the rapture. And, yeah, she has a lot more with regards to just that we're in year 73 and 2030 being a cutoff and signs in the heavens and stuff like that again. So, yeah, I guess I'll leave it at that. But there was just so many little things that just added up. But overall, I felt like it was an encouragement. It was a lot of just reassurance. I'll just leave it at that. So hopefully this was encouraging and reassuring to you guys as well. And there was a lot of little pieces, but I do believe it made like a nice picture, and just, I don't know. I just feel like, again, the word I would have is reassuring. So yeah, I guess that's that. Hopefully you enjoyed this and you understood and it blessed you. Any comments or questions, leave them down below. And I will see you in the next video, or hopefully see you in the air. Until next time, God bless and shalom.